Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolas Polimanakos. I work behind the scenes here at NORWAC in many different ways. And today I am with Demetra George. Hi, Demetra.
Hi, Nicholas.
Demetra is one of many speakers that will be at the Northwest Astrological Conference that happens May 22nd to May 26th outside of Seattle. The conference is completely sold out in person, but through the wonders of modern technology, you can attend online the conference pre and post conference also. So today we're going to talk about the two lectures and one workshop that you are speaking on, Demetra. And Friday, a pre-conference lecture on May 23rd, 9 a.m. Your pre-conference workshop is called Hellenistic House Condition, right? And it says, I'll read a
Yes,
brief thing here. It says, the condition of a house in and of itself is as important as the condition of a planet for understanding natal indications as well as Time Lord procedures. This is interesting, Demetra, because we've had a lot here. We talk about conditions of a planet, but not
yes,
necessarily the house. Yes?
exactly. That's what I want to sort of continue in the general theme of other pre-conferences I've been doing for NORWAC. And that when we talk about a planet's condition, we're wondering how well can a planet bring forth its own significations? How well can Mercury communicate? How well can Venus create relationships? But in this workshop, we're going to shift our focus for when people ask about topics. And what is the condition of the second house regarding the topic of wealth?
Hmm.
Or what's the condition of the fifth house regarding the topic of having children or of having relationships that's not dependent upon the planet ruling the house? And so we're going to look at different factors that we can take into consideration before we even look at any planets is what is the underlying condition of the house itself that can support a happy, successful outcome of friends or wealth or health or any of the 12 house topics.
Yeah, and when it's for those who are been practicing astrology for a while or just beginning, let's say from a more
Yeah.
one-on-one with a client, these are the
Yeah.
questions
Right.
that
These
you
are the
can.
questions that people bring. And more important than simply the natal configuration is when there's timing comes to certain houses, such as in zodiacal releasing or in annual perfections. It's the condition of the house on its own that will give the astrologer the first clue. Is this going to be an overall good time period? Or is it going to be problematical? And that's where it really gets interesting,
Yeah, and
is
that's
when
when you
it's
get to the
applied to timing. Yeah,
intricacy of it all. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's you're doing that again, that pre-conference workshop on Friday the 23rd. I do want to say here for those watching who they're attending online already, or purchased or are thinking about it. Um, let's say you chose not to go to the whole weekend, but you just wanted to attend Demetra's workshop. You can do that. You can just purchase it on its own and attend the workshop. And for those who are there already during the weekend or already purchased, you can add that along too. And for those who do that, there is a slight discount for those already attending the full conference. Uh, Again, you could find out all that information too here at norwac.net from the registration, the schedule, and the speaker lineups. So saying that, in a sense, here we are, Dimitri, on the Friday you start, and it's Saturday during the conference weekend, on May 24th. Your first lecture that you're going to do that weekend is called "The Lot of Fortune in Natal Interpretation" from Nechepso to Rudhyar. That's wild to see those two names together, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sort of beautiful having
Yeah.
that. And that's this year I've been doing more thinking about the lot of fortune and realizing that there were disagreements among the ancient astrologers from the very beginning of the tradition concerning especially the calculation of night fortune. And one of the things I want to talk about is the group of astrologers who wanted to reverse for night births, and then another group that likewise has a historical tradition that said, no, 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 you only use the day formula for both day and night. So I'm going to poke that bear.
Yeah, you're gonna poke that bear on Saturday the 24th. It's interesting. I am gonna read the first sentence in the description here too for those. It says, "The lot of
Okay.
fortune, one share of well-being was considered to be a supreme place by the earliest Hellenistic astrologers, equal in power to the ascendant. Yet its correct calculation has been mired in confusion since the beginning." So you're gonna explore this and poke this
That's
bear.
exactly what I'm doing. And I
Yeah.
have to say, I'm a little bit nervous about it, but where I think as a community, we're at a point now where we can begin to look critically at some of the texts and wonder, like, does this make sense? Is this reasoning sounds? We couldn't do that 20 years ago as a large group, but now we're ready to take our second gaze
Yeah,
into the material.
and you're leading this. So you're gonna take the step here and do it, which is great because I do want to say too, this is so interesting about conferences, whether in person or online,
Yeah,
are these are the places where one does this or does a lecture like you're doing here,
yeah,
and then just the interesting post discussion that happens online and
exactly.
in person, right? So,
Yeah.
so there's that. That's I'm psyched for that one. The next day on Sunday, the 25th at 9 a.m., another interesting lecture topic here you're doing. It's ancient women astronomers and astrologers. And it says, with the reintroduction of ancient astrology, many ask about the women practitioners in the ways that the names of women have been erased from the annals of history. The same way may be true in the history of astrology. This was reminding me of an episode I watched, correct? A little bit with Chris, one
Yes.
particular astrologer, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, this is the perfect Sunday morning lecture, by the way.
Right. That's the one I'm really the most excited about because often as you're teaching ancient astrology, people say, well, what are the names of the women astrologers? Come on, we've heard enough about, Valens and Firmicus. Like, who are the women? And up until recently, we've had to say we don't have any names of women astrologers. But I've been uh, sifting now, sort of sifting the sands. And I have come up with 7 or 8 astrological women, starting from 3000 BC in Egypt, going up to 900 in the Arabic Empire, that have been associated with astrology one way or the other. So I want to sort of mention them and the challenges that exist in both ancient and contemporary scholarship with being able to fully bring forth their contributions.
That's amazing. I have to tell you what comes up for me when you're saying
Yeah,
this is the actual conference itself and the history and the basis of the conference of Maggie Nalbandi and starting it and
yes.
then the family. But there is a thread and a history with this conference of how it's supported women in general,
Mhm.
showcasing women as
Yeah,
speakers, attendees, so on and so forth. If there's any place to speak on this, it's at this conference, you know.
yeah.
So just want to say that. Yeah, those are the three main things you're doing. Just so everyone knows watching too, all pretty much all the speakers at NORWAC are also part of Q&As that are going to happen online only in between lecture periods. And so you're going to be part of one that happens on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Um, if I'm correct here, you're going to be an interesting Q&A. I'll be facilitating it. It's yourself, Sam Reynolds, Adam Ellenboss, Ebony Bledsoe, and I think Judith Hill. That should be interesting.
Yeah, that should be wonderful.
A lot of
Yeah,
brain
yeah,
power in that one. But when we do these, as like last year, everyone who's watching online, and even if they're attending in person, they can go up
yeah.
to the room and log in. Everyone's hanging out, and so we take questions from the chat, and usually it leads to one particular subject matter that each speaker has something to say
Mhm.
on, and they're always fun. They're very exploratory and somewhat, I guess, improvisational in the moment, you know. So there's that. Again, I want to remind everybody if you're interested in attending the conference online, whether it's the whole weekend or a conference only or both, you can go to norwac.net and you can go to the top of the browser. You'll see the speaker lineups, the registration page, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So on that note, I'm really psyched. I'm gonna be there in person and see you, Demetra, as is tradition. And
Right. It's yeah, I've said to Laura, like I said, coming to NORWAC is like coming to Thanksgiving with your astrological family.
yeah,
And it's just a feast and just the nurturing of the community, like sharing
yeah,
together.
I have my own personal history with the conference itself. You do too.
Yeah.
I mean, just before we leave, when was the first NORWAC for you? Do you remember? Like when?
I do remember. Um, I think NORWAC started in 1984, if I am right.
I
And
think
I
so.
didn't
Yeah.
I didn't come that year, but in 1985, I did show up and I was a young astrologer at that time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
And that's
and
what's it.
just being awed at the stars that were walking the hallways. It's like,
Yeah, I know. I still feel that way sometimes too. There's that part of it too, and then also there's the other part. Like you mentioned, it was your first time, right? And I'm thinking about people who are going to show up online for the first time this year
yeah,
or in person, and they don't know what they're walking into per
right.
se, and that's the beauty of it. There's so much mystery involved, but you never know who you talk to or
Yeah,
how you connect with somebody and
right.
or what type of knowledge or a facet of astrology that you would never walk to somehow is presented to you in a certain way and it just
Mhm.
opens up a part of you.
It does. And
So
we've made friendships that have like lasted over decades.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and that it's happening online now because we're in a different world, but there's nothing quite like the upfront in person.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
I know one thing's for sure. Like I'm gonna do my best to try to bring some of that energy in person online because
Yeah.
there's breakout rooms for people to hang out in. Like Saturday night, Samantha, another astrologer who helps facilitate the online, she's
Oh
throwing
yeah.
like a on they're doing like a rising sign look party where you kind
Mhm.
of come a certain way to it. Last year I was surprising people online by bringing speakers randomly at different times.
Oh, okay. That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be doing that.
Dragging them off the dance floor.
Pretty much. I did that last Saturday. Even
Yeah.
some of them had some couple Asian drinks. I'm like, come on, don't worry about it. So I have my plans to surprise people.
Okay.
And I also know on the Thursday before the conference, I was talking with Laura about this, that we actually might open up just the one regular room for people to hang out online just to kind
Mhm.
of say hello and like
Yeah.
pre funk for the next day. And I will be there in person at the hotel, but I will probably pull in on my phone wherever I'm at and say hi
Yeah.
to everybody. So it's one of those things, mixing technologies in real life. So again, Demetra, thank you for stopping by and saying hello and talking
Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
lecture.
Okay. So pleasure. And I look forward to it all happening next month.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thanks for
Okay.
watching,
Bye.
and we'll see you on the next video.